Hi everyone. Today we are going to continue to discuss about the functions in Python. First of all, the function can invoke another function, which it can in turn invoke another, and further and further. That is possible. This picture illustrates some of those. For example, this is a main coding segment in a sequence in that segment. And when it comes to function A, this is a invocation of function A. Therefore, it goes to function A and execute the body of that function. So there is another function invocation, function B. Then it goes to function B and all the way down and return some value back to this. That returning value can be assigned to the variable B in this local code block, code segment. And you keep going because this is not done yet. And then when it comes to another statements, which is an invocation of function D, then it goes to function D definition. And in the definition, there's some statements. And at the end, there's another return statements. The value can be returned back to the caller side. That returned function can return the value can be assigned to another variable C. And they keep going to execute the rest of the statements in this function definitions. And there is a return B and C. Then it goes back to the caller function, which is here the invocation, function A. Finally, the original main coding segment now continue to work because this is done. So function A is complete when everything of this nested invocation, all the nested invocations are complete. And then finally, there is a return. Okay, return is not necessary, right? When it complete this function definition, that is a completion of that function. So that is the completion of this statement, and therefore, next statement will be considered and to evaluate. All right. This is an illustration of multiple functions, and functions can invoke another functions, which can invoke others. So here is a multiple functions as another illustrations. We have a function f1. Inside of this function f1, it invoke f2. Whatever f2 complete, then that is the print to that. Okay. So we need to, if you see the procedure of this execution, then after this f2 is invoked, then we need to go to the definition of that function f2. So when you see here function f2, the first statement is print. And then another invocation here, f3, which is here. And when the f3 is complete, then come back here. That means the completion of these statements, the print f3. Therefore, next statements is print f4. Invocation of f4. Then it goes to the definition of that function f4. So execute all the statements in that f4 definition, and then done, and come back here. That is the completion of these statements. And the very next statement here is return. So f2 is now return. By the way, f2 is executed because f2 is f2 here is invoked. So that is the completion of these statements. And finally, that statements. I have here as you may notice, the first print statements, I have \t. So one tab. And then in this function, there is a nested function to be invoked, which is f2. So when you see f2, then the first statement is print. In the print, two tabs, and then we specify second function is called. Okay? And after this, f3 is invoked. So when we come here f3, then 3 times of tabs, and then whatever the strings to print. Third function called. f4 again, 3 tabs, and fourth function called. At the completion of this f3 or f4, then there is another returning statement, which is 3 tabs. And then we say third or fourth function done. This string is returned to the caller function here. So that is printed. And whatever returned from function 4, that is also printed here. And then finally, at the completion of f2, then this is returned. Double tab and second function done. Goes back here, original caller, and that is printed. And then finally, only one tab, first function is done. So if we click this, very nicely, it is invoked like this, right? First function called, and then originally here one tab, and then 2 tabs, 1 and 2, and then 3 tabs, 1, 2, and 3. All right. Passing arguments. Each value can be received by a variable in a function. Multiple values can be received by a variable, whether a list or a tuple. That is also possible. Multiple variables or single variables. That is possible. Returning values. Some of this is below. Okay, here. Deposit check, and then this function is invoked by checklist, and then multiple the checks in a list. It comes here as a list, and then that list is modified. Second check or third check is modified 33.35. Originally third check is 99.99. Anyway, suppose that is modified. This kind of a hacking, right? That is modified. And then all deposit slips, total amount is 0. And given this checklist, we append that check to this deposit slips. And the total amount can be obtained by adding. And then finally, we can say deposit amount is such. Okay, so initially we remember that a list can be modified, but a tuple cannot be. Okay, so let's see. So, oh, I think we need to open this. Okay, so 203.95, that is deposited. Okay. What if we do, instead of that, if we see here, checklist, we can say check tuple. And I want to do like check tuple. If I hit this It should be actually tuple, not only name, but actually needs to be a tuple, like parenthesis. So when I run this, then there is an error, right? Because tuple does not allow you to modify, right? So if you want to run this, then you need to remove this modification. So when you remove this modification and rerun this and run this, then total amount is 270, and that is deposited. But if we use a list can be modified over the course of the transition of that amount that can be manipulated, compromised. Therefore, the actual amounts that I sent was 270, but this is the check that I sent, right? But when I change that to a list, therefore modified, then this amount is finally deposited. That is kind of money laundering. Okay, so discussion here. Consider the function invocation. What is the type of returning data if multiple values are returned? Multiple values are returned, then it could be a list or a tuple. That is fine. Explain why one works or the other not. Tuple works because over the course of the amount what data is transmitted, no modification is allowed. But list modification is all the time, always possible. So what is the implications? One is safe, the other one is not safe. One is for banking systems, if you want to transfer money to another bank, then definitely if their code is written in Python, then they should use a tuple data type rather than list data types, period. Okay, finally in this function, we will consider variable length arguments. Let's say in this example, we send out multiple number of checks to deposit. When you receive this, we receive it as a list, right? But if we receive this not a list, but each individual value, atomic values, a number of atomic values, then you need to say check 1, comma, check 2, comma, check 3. You have to list that. But initially, you do not know how many checks are deposited. And each customers may put different number of checks to deposit, right? So it should be flexible. Number of arguments that you defined should be flexible. To make it flexible, we have here one star list. Okay, so that we can manipulate it different number of stars. So let's say this is a definition of the function, right? Multicalc app. List is not just a list, but we have a star in front, which means a flexible number of arguments. So that we can say for each in the list, so we can put whatever that we want to do, right? So that is, this function is defined, and then we invoke that. Then we can make like this. Or we can do more and more. Say 103 and 88 and 99. We can make this, right? I would say, yeah, I can make a copy of this and back here. Same thing as we did. So we have here, but for the same definition of this, we can put as many the argument as many arguments that as we want. Here. So this guy, the same definition can accommodate no matter how many. So previously we have 7 arguments, now 11 arguments. Or we can do, let's say, I want to remove that up to here, 99 to 1. So 99 to 1, and I can do also. So how many arguments? We have 4 arguments. So for the same definition, we can make any number of arbitrary number of arguments can be accommodated. How can you do that? We can make it by 1 star arguments. So this is very convenient. Another way that you could do is, let's say, I want to send a key and value pairs. So when I send the multiple values, I would say first value is student name, second value is student major, third value is student GPA, and so on and so forth. Not only sending multiple values, but also I want to indicate which value is what, like a dictionary format. To do that, Python allows a double star. Okay, double star. So example here, a definition keywords, I want to say dict, and for I in dict, print I, and I is a key and dict of I is the value. So when I invoke this, I mean define that function and invoke, then this is the function name, right? Keywording. So I have key and value pair per line. You can make a dictionary as we already know, right? Within curly braces, open and close, and there is a key and value pair with a colon delimiter. Once we have that data type, then we can send that data type with the star, double star, and argument with double star, and when it receives in double star as well. I think argument, not necessarily double star. We can simply call double star. Oh, I think it should call double star. Okay, we need to send the double star. Okay, or if you didn't define any key and value pair in a dictionary format, then you can simply send the keyword A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. You can do that too. Same result. Here it is printed, right? So there is a the homework 5.3. I said here self-assessment. I want you to read this, and output should be like this. Okay, this is a sample skeleton of the code. So try to do your code here. But I don't want you to submit this, but I showed here. How can you define the function? How can you invoke? There's a show code. If you open this, then this is a code shown. And then invocation, that is also shown. So how it works. So you define this, and the way that it works. you define this. Okay, this is a homework, the problem 5.3, but I don't ask you to submit. This is self-assessment. Same thing here, problem 5.4. Okay, this is a self-assessment. I want you to define a function and invocation. All right, this is it. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.